Everybody go dancing.
The country kids, oh, they got me feeling split. They're so high,
Little high.
boy, so why not give me the country kids?
What that?
Give me the country kids.
Oh, you got it.
Country kids. Just
Wow.
did already live with them. Those country kittens know how to get it.
This is Hillbilly Trailer Queen Radio, and I am Miss Annie Boleyn. I'm all by myself because Miss Polyurethane is still out in Europe with Mr. Bob Wayne. Check out their tour dates and go visit her if you are out there. I'm going to start you off right off the get-go, and I'm going to tell you the life story of a burlesque legend. And she went through some hardships in her career, and that's a little bit what we're going to talk about today. So here is Story Time with Miss Annie Boleyn. Thank you, Wikipedia and New York Times and Fandango. Here we go. So Sally Rand was a burlesque star and actress, most noted for her ostrich feather fan dance and balloon bubble dance. She also had performed under the name Billy Beck. Helen Gould Beck was born in the village of Elkton, Hickory County, Missouri, on April 3rd, 1904. Now, we're talking village. Elkton was a small, unincorporated community that only lasted a few decades. When she was still in grade school, the family then moved to Jackson County, Missouri. Her father, William Beck, was a West Point graduate and a retired U.S. Army colonel, while her mother, Nettie Grove Beck, was a school teacher and a part-time newspaper correspondent. With the onset of the Great Depression, Helen got her start on the stage at a young age, which was not really uncommon at the time. She began working at Kansas City's Empress Theater as a chorus girl when she was 13 years old. That is younger than my oldest daughter, and that blows my mind. She then caught the eye of Goodman Ace, who was a magazine columnist and a dramatic critic for the Kansas City Journal, also an American humorist, a radio and television writer, a comedian, and he was like the most sought-after writer in radio and television 30s through the 60s, like 3 decades. So Goodman saw her performing in a Kansas City nightclub and wrote all of these fabulous reviews. Mr. Ace's praise in turn got Gus Edwards' attention. Gus Edwards had a juvenile vaudeville company called School Days, which had produced all these young stars. Big deal. So she joins the company, and Miss Rand studies dancing, voice, drama, and then the teenager decided she wanted to move and pursue a career in silent films in Hollywood. She then works her way across the country, working as an acrobat in Ringling Brothers Circus. I could die over that, and performing in summer stock and traveling theater, including working with a then unknown Humphrey Bogart. No big deal. She worked as an actress during the 1920s in silent movies and on the stage. Cecil B. DeMille gave her the name Sally Rand, inspired by Rand McNally, Atlas. Rand McNally, it is American, if you don't recognize that name, is an American technology and publishing company. And they make maps and software and hardware for consumer electronics, transportation, commercial transportation, and education markets. And they were based out of Chicago. So Cecil was an American filmmaker who had made a total of like 70 silent and sound films and was considered the founding father of the cinema of the United States and the most commercially successful producer-director in film history. So he was a really big deal. She became a burlesque dancer after the introduction of sound films, known for her fan dance. She created the dance after seeing some moth-eaten ostrich feathers at a costumer's shop shortly after arriving in Chicago. "Those ostrich feathers gave me an idea," she said. I remembered my days as a youngster in Missouri when I watched the ducks and the geese and the herons flying south and their wings graceful against the sky. I wanted to fly like heron and then thought of a dance that would incorporate their movements. And just like that, the feather fan dance was created. Miss Rand bought the ostrich fans on credit, changed her dancing act, and immortalized the dance in Chicago at the Paramount Club, and made a famous appearance at the Chicago World's Fair with her backing orchestra, directed by Art Frazik. Fucking boss. Hi, I'm here checking in for my show. Where would you like me to put my orchestra? As the opening of the World's Fair approached, she tried to get a job dancing at the Streets of Paris concession. As a publicity stunt, she thought up the idea of appearing at the concession's preview as Lady Godiva, on a horse, seemingly nude. She did, and the next day got the job as a dancer. The resulting sensation reached all the way to Congress. However, during the debate on the measure, an Ohio representative began to discuss the merits of Miss Rand's fan dance, to which an Illinois congressman told him, "The fan dance show is one of those places you have to pay to get in and pay to get out. You have a good time while you are in there." Congress approved the appropriation. Badass. Her appearance at the World's Fair immediately drew thousands of... Hold on just a second. My dog is standing on the picnic table. Get down. Get down right now. He's like 100-pound pit bull. Get down. What the... Okay. To which no, I already said that. Sorry. Her appearance at the World's Fair immediately drew thousands of customers to the Streets of Paris concession at which she was dancing, and brought her a salary of $5,000 a week and provoked a demand for her at nightclubs all across the country. One day at the fair, she was arrested 4 times due to perceived indecent exposure when she rode a white horse down the streets of Chicago, like we talked about, the Lady Godiva thing, where the nudity was an illusion. She was arrested after a fan dance performance, and again after being body painted by the one and only Max Factor Sr. with his new makeup formulated for Hollywood films. I'm not sure what the 4th arrest for was that day, but I'm sure it was complete and total bullshit. She conceived and developed the bubble dance in a part to cope with the wind while she was performing outdoors. And I love this next part. Sally then purchased the Music Box Burlesque Hall in San Francisco, which is now the Great American Music Hall, and that place is and will always be my favorite venue in California. It's absolutely beautiful. The first show I ever saw there, I think, was Hank 3, and that was before my daughter was born, so that was probably like 15 years ago, but which is fairly new to know about the Great American Music Hall for most people, but I'm a small country girl up in the mountains, not big city girl. All right. Anyways, during this time, she also starred in Sally Rand's Nude Ranch at the Golden Gate International Expo, and that was on Treasure Island. And if you're not familiar with Treasure Island, in California, when you are going to San Francisco from from Oakland, the Bay Area, and you go over the Bay Bridge at a midpoint somewhere along the line, I don't know if it's midway, but lands on Treasure Island. And that little piece of land, that's the one exit off of the Bay Bridge while you're going over the water. That's Treasure Island. Okay, so anyways, she does this 2 years in a row, in 1939, 1940, and at the time, nudity wasn't available at the corner drugstore. Live performance was a socially approved... Oh my god, my dog is going crazy. Live performance was a socially approved and legally tolerated option to illegal pornographic books. Burlesque and striptease, vaudeville's illegitimate siblings, offered comedy, dancing, music, and a chance to see naked bodies. For 25 cents. Step right up. Fairgoers on Treasure Island could line up behind a glass wall and watch young women play badminton ride donkeys, and engage in other activities while wearing not much more than hats, boots, and a bandana, and this is the best thing that I've ever thought about. Giddy up. Although it did not seem so at the time, Miss Rand was actually rescuing the sexually provocative dance from the striptease joints and making its derivative forms respectable for the legitimate stage. Thank you, Miss Rand. I'm getting myself into a lot of hijinks, and looks like you are responsible. All right, in San Francisco in 46, she's arrested twice while performing her fan dance at Club Savoy by 6 police officers in the audience. 6 police officers in the audience. The judge, Daniel R. Shoemaker, granted her immunity should she be arrested for the same offense while on trial. However, she was arrested during a night of the trial while performing her act, despite her immunity and the fact that she was wearing long underwear and a note that read, "Censored." In an unusual move, the judge viewed her performance at the Savoy and cleared her of all charges after deemed that anyone who could find something lewd about this fan dance, as she puts it on, has to have a perverted idea of morals. 1946. And can you believe we are still dealing with this shit today? All right. So she travels around the Midwest in a 17-performer troupe in the early 50s. She dances at state fairs, small theaters. She refuses to divulge her age to reporters at the time, but is known to be approaching 50. And she can kick and jump, and she's 50. How does that go? You know what I'm talking about? I'm 50. This woman is a badass. She is performing in 17 performer troupes and dancing in fairs and small theaters at 50 years old with her fan dance. She continues to appear on stage doing her fan dance into the 1970s. Describing her 40-year career, Rand said, "I haven't been out of work since the day I took my pants off." Hell yeah, word up, sister. Mrs. Rand was married 3 times. To Thurkel Greenough, a rodeo star, giddy up, Harry Finkelstein, and Frederick Layla? I'm not sure how to say that. I'm not really sure what that says. During her marriage to him, they adopted a son, Sean. Miss Rand, whose figure and face did not show her age at all, continued to perform the fan dance, which she said she had changed not a whit, not a step, not a feather, until 1978. She was 74 years old, and she maintained a lovely face, a trim figure. God damn. Despite the nature of her dance, Miss Rand's public and private self was always that of the girl next door. During the 1930s, when her notoriety was at its height, she made repeated appearances before small-town civic groups and spoke out in favor of the Republican forces in the Spanish Civil War. Later, she enrolled in a small college in Missouri and gained a bachelor's degree. When her son entered school, she became active in Glendora, California, PTA, and continued her civic activities. What a babe. Rand died on August 31st, 1979, at Foothill Presbyterian Hospital in Glendora, California, aged 75 years old from congestive heart failure. She literally danced up until a year before her death. And that stabs me in the heart. She was deeply in debt at her death. Rand's adopted son told an interview that Sammy Davis Jr. stepped in and wrote a $10,000 check, which took care of Rand's expenses. Wow. And that is Miss Sally Rand. She was an innovator. She was a pioneer. She persevered. She didn't give up even after being arrested over and over and over again She just kept on keeping on. Sally Rand, I salute you. Wang. Now, speaking of pioneers and innovators, here is one of my favorite. And I've been listening to him since before my children were born. My oldest daughter is creeping up on 15 years old. Holy smokes. And I would put the headphones on my little baby Bella belly so she could hear the legendary Shack Shakers. This episode, we're doing 2 songs in a row by some of my favorite artists. You've heard them all before, but here is Mr. J.D. Wilkes. And I heard these songs before the album came out, and now I'm so happy the album's out and I get to actually share them with people. Because before, I would have gotten in big ass trouble. Here he is.
Glass bottles of blue and deep green ones too, sitting on the windowsill. At night the light from the moon above pours into and fills this ghostly glow that haunts us both. Sparkles in your eyes, come into my arms and let me kiss your lips as we fall asleep at night. But in your dreams is another man, far across the sea, with silver and gold and the charms of old. Is he a better man than me? So comes the day when you sail away. The bottles of glass, they fall and crash, but there's one I plan to save. Moonlight you see, sent across the sea. See the bottle glow on the beach below. Hurry down to your heart. Well, the midnight wind across the lip it seems, slow and low, I love you.
And that was Moon Bottle. And one more, we're talking about burlesque and vaudeville and living life on the road and being a crazy circus showgirl freak today. Here's Fire Dream. This one fits right in.
In the dead of the night, for dancing in your fire dream, witnesses the course of Christian life, for dancing in your fire dream. Let us sway and pulse in a flash of fire, for dancing in your fire dream. As the tree trunks swirl their watchful eyes, for dancing in your fire dream. Trip the banjo, fandango sublime. lines to bind. When we're dancing in your fire dream. In your fire dream. In your fire dream. So transmit to me your mystic secret symphony. I'll sing it in my soul when we're dancing in your fire dream. I'm trapped in your vision as a glint of light. We're dancing in your fire dream. Peering at the window pane in your eyes. We're dancing in your fire dream. Fork my tongue with a burning knife. When we're dancing in your fire dream. Teach me how to serenade the night. We're dancing in your fire dream. The silken winds flow the mineral lights. We're dancing in your fire dream. Let us drop our robes of flesh and rise. We're dancing in your fire dream. In your fire dream. In your fire dream. So transmit to me your mystic secret symphony. I've kept it in my teeth when we're dancing in your fire dream. My heart is in your hands when we're dancing in your fire dream.
I will tell you what, being on tour is freaking exhausting. You're going. And these girls in California, Calendar Girls, are experiencing it right now. Here's some clips from us on our first tour dealing with it.
We're about to go for our third radio interview. Excuse me, our fourth radio interview. And I'm feeling so famous. I'm the most famous girl you're going to meet in Europe. American Girl, I promise you that. Told you. Remember the name, polyurethane. You'll either be screaming it later or you'll see it in life.
Your girl's getting tired. I'm used to open mic nights. This shit is heavy.
Dear baby Jesus, please don't let snot fly out of my nose while I'm singing this song. And please don't let me gag and puke on the stage or on one of the tables of our fantastic guests. Please make sure I can keep breathing and I don't pass out naked on the stage. Oh, it is rough, I'm telling you what. And I know my friends back home that go on tour for like 3 months at a time, 4 months, 5 months, are laughing at me because I've only done like 1 month tours. But if you are not used to it, 10 days is a long time. 12 days is exhausting. When it's brand new, it is a big old slap in the face to get it all together. It is pretty intense. So the girls touched down in Amsterdam. They got to their hotel. They had a great time. They got to their first venue, and I love the place. It is really, really fun, but it is more of a dive bar compared to the rest of the venues on the tour. So it was kind of like if they're going to be able to get the show done and do it there and do it on that stage in the dressing room, they're going to be able to do anything. And we had a little bit of a meltdown among the girls. I'm not going to name any names because why do that? But this is normal and it's natural, so I'm not like calling her out. It was expected to happen at some point, and oh man, you're fucking tired. And apparently the person whose house they were staying at that night, who was hosting them, had tragically, well, not tragically because he was okay, but wrecked his car that day, and his car was at the tow yard or wherever it goes. And so they had partied and were at the venue until closing, which was very late there, like 4 a.m. And they go to the house to go stay and finally get some sleep. And, you know, they have jet lag and they're exhausted. And the gentleman realized his house keys were with his car keys, which were in the tow yard or the lot, wherever that your car goes in the Netherlands when you get into a car accident. So they spent the evening until like 7 in the morning just hanging out on the street. And one girl was fucking pissed, understandably, but ready to go home. And I had to give her the talk that, you know, life is tough, darling, but so are you. And this is a shitty situation, but this is no reason to give up all the amazing things that are ahead. And to have faith in me a little bit. And I told her I'm going to talk to you like I talked to polyurethane and give you a hard slap in the face from across the ocean. And in the morning, everything was better, and she had this really positive outlook. Now, she's fucking slaying it on the tour. She's having a great fucking time. I left out in that story that I had fucked up their sound list that night. It was an accident, but something had happened because we have a bunch of different sound lists throughout the tour, considering some different situations. So that screwed up her act that night. So that was my fault. Don't blame yourself for my mistakes. Like, that's bullshit. You're going to have many more chances, and you're going to be able to get this done. So now she's having a great time, and it's funny, as I'm making this podcast, I just read my friend Gary Lindsay. You may recognize that name. He is in Black Eyed Vermilion and was played with Hank 3 and Ass Jack. And he had just posted on Facebook, the best view comes after the hardest climb. And that's exactly what we're fucking talking about. Once you replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, you have positive results. And boy, are they having positive results. Go check out California Calendar Girls on Facebook, their page, and check out their photos. They are freaking adorable over there. Now, talking about hardships, when we were on our first tour, we kind of had a situation happen and a falling out, and we lost one of our performers like 6 days into the tour, and there was only 3 of us girls, and we had like a long time to fill, and losing one of the performers had us lose about like 20 minutes of a show, and we had to come up with what to do. And like, we had a show that day, you know, that night, and had to figure out how to fill 20 minutes, and we're able to find a costume shop and figure out some acts and figure out a way to make it happen. And it was fucking crazy and stressful, and we cried a bunch, but it happened and it worked. And Miss Polyurethane found this amazing rooster mask at this costume shop that we were at. And so we turned it into a balloon act where you pop all the balloons, you know, and it's pretty classic burlesque. But we put her in a rooster act, and we told everybody that Miss Polly was going to ride something naughty on stage, and we used the word, if you know what I mean. And it was the biggest one they ever seen. And that bad situation ended up being one of the funnier parts of our show. So, you never know.
You know, y'all, I'm just here to ride a cock on stage. Ain't no big thing at all. I do it all the time. Usually I do save it for the bedroom. Well, that's where I save all my crazy shit for, is the bedroom. But, you know, I thought these nice people that are sitting down here having dinner would want to see me ride this cock in front of them, because ain't no thing but a chicken wing, all right? You want to go on stage,
They're
Coffee?
going to choke on that big meat they got.
Now it's time for 2 more songs. With Mr. Possessed by Paul James, he is a school teacher. He is an award-winning school teacher. And if you could give awards for Family Man, he'd probably win that too. Shoulda Known Better. And the songs we used to sing. Here he is. Possessed by Paul James. Get your handkerchiefs out and then cry a little bit, and the next song turn up your radio and sing really loud and dance around and just lose control for a minute. I dare you.
Perfume letters of an earlier time, memories of ladies now left far behind. Too many lovers makes a heart go blind. Well, I should've known better. I was so foolish and I chased the sign. Young months and fine, now my days are done. Too many lovers makes you on the run. Well, I should've known better. Well, I tried too hard, I spoke too soon. Oh, I got too drunk and I shot the moon. All the while, oh, I'd look at you and you'd say, oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better. Oh, baby, yes, I do. Well, darling, now I do. I jumped from rooftops both far and wide. I stole their kisses and I robbed them blind, leaving lovers in a bed of lies. Well, I should've known better. I was a lion tamer long ago, a veteran in the art of fooling those much too lonely for their hearts to know. Well, I should've known better. Go ahead. Oh, I tried too hard, I spoke it too soon. Oh, I got too drunk and I shot the moon. All the while, Lord, look at you and you'd say, oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better. Oh, baby, now I do. Well, darling, now I do. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now an old man and nothing more, much too tired or to even scores. My wife, she left me back in 94. Well, I should've known better. And as I sit within my shallow grave, looking for answers, oh, I should have saved, just out of heaven's reach, amazing grace. Well, I should've known better. Well, I tried too hard, I spoke it too soon. Oh, I got too drunk and I shot the moon. All the while, oh, I look at you and you'd say, oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better. Oh, baby, now I do. Oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better, baby. Oh, you should've known better. Oh, baby, now I do. just like a fool normally does. You look too good for me to be standing in your shadow. Let's turn up the music, oh here comes the drum, the drum, the drum, the drum. All the songs we used to sing, of better days or once in our lives. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, some of the good, oh and most of the bad. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. Take my hand and jump in off the coast of California, way down below, beyond my control. You look too good for me to be or standing in your shadow. Let's turn up the music, oh here comes the drum, the drum, the drum, the drum. All the songs we used to sing, some of the good times and most of the bad. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, of better days or once in our lives. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. I stand here alone in my bed, holding to a memory. Your touch and your smell, oh, I'm losing my mind. You look too good for me to be or standing in your shadow. Let's turn up the music, oh, here comes the drum, the drum, the drum, the drum. All the songs we used to sing, of better days or once in our lives. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, some of the good times and most of the bad. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it. These are the songs we used to sing, so don't forget about it.
Amy Poehler, who I think is like a queen, said, find a group of people that challenge and inspire you and spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life. I hope that you are all living your life like that and not spending your time with people that you feel like you have to because you owe them something. Now, I don't want to brag, but I have found that in my friend Polyurethane. And she's out there on the road having a great time, seeing all kinds of countries that we have not yet got to see. And I am so proud of you, Polly. And I want to remind you of this one time we had this 24 hours in Holland, in Nijmegen. And we played on a boat. It was absolutely wonderful day, wonderful show. And right at the end of this show, there was a terrible rainstorm that kind of, screwed up the night at the moment, but the night ended up being fun and everyone had a great time. But all of our stuff was out there, all our costumes, Sam's instruments. It was kind of like a shit show for a while. And that wasn't even the end of the story. That was just that night. And we were staying in a room in the boat downstairs. So all of our costumes, everything, it was just so messy and so wild. There's a full video called Boats and Shows on the Country Kittens Experience YouTube video if you really want to see the whole shebang and how the cute little hotel room looked in the boat underneath. But here are some clips from that crazy experience.
Alright, and just like that, it started pouring rain in the Netherlands. Everything just got soaking wet. I'm literally soaking wet. Soaking wet. Shit, all of our props are on stage. Let's go and check it out. What's going on up there? Oh my god! I know, oh my god. Yopi! God. Okay. Oh no, it's right. Well, it got washed. Oh my god. That was crazy. I'm seriously soaking wet. I've never seen a downpour like that. Oh my god. It'll dry by tomorrow, but holy shit. I've never seen a downpour like that. We're on a boat and the birds are great.
The song ended. Sam was like, thank you very much. It's all.
All the lightning and shit.
Oh my god.
That was fucking insane.
That was insane. I've never seen a downpour like that.
I've never seen a fucking, torrential downpour, boom.
And it was just like sheets of water.
Yeah.
Sheets of water.
It happened as soon as you finished. It was like it was waited for the show to be over. So you see, sometimes things like that just happen. And it's unexpected. And it does not go as planned, and all you can do is do your best job to go with the flow and turn whatever it is into a better experience. Oh, man. So, yeah, we were exhausted. We took the party downstairs under the boat. Sam played more songs downstairs. Everybody had a good time. Our friends Marcel and Mira were there. We had a great time. We go to bed. So we're all feeling pretty hungover in the morning, and we did not put away our costumes because usually we don't stay in our dressing rooms. And our room was under the boat and was our dressing room. So after all that crazy shit, we had all of our costumes and everything laid out to dry, and just the whole little boat room was a fucking showgirl vomit all over the place. And very early in the morning, it's just our cast and crew on, for our show on the boat. Nobody else is on the boat with us. Are awakened by a very disturbing situation. Now, this might bug the shit out of you, and you might need to hit the 30-second fast forward 1 or 2 times if you don't want to hear it. But I'll promise you it was absolutely nothing compared to what we were experiencing at that time.
Dude, I just woke up to this. We don't know if the boat's on fire. We don't know if we're sinking.
Nobody's here.
Nobody's here on the boat to tell us, hey, get the fuck off the boat. Hey, maybe you should have cleaned up your fucking costumes last night.
Maybe the alarm is trying to tell us to get off the boat, but there's no smoke and we're not sinking.
Of course, this is the one night I didn't take my lashes off, so I walk out like
I
walk like this. Just walking around in circles right now.
My mom would just die if she knew I died in the fire with only one eyebrow. Well, that was just the hangover alarm. It's just like
Do you have a hangover? Let's check.
Yeah, you're probably getting real tired of that noise on this video. Imagine being here, being woken up at 8 o'clock in the morning to it. Imagine that. Oh.
Yes,
But it was steam.
I'm steam.
It was steam.
And her alarm goes off.
And so-
the thing.
Next to you, it's steam.
Okay, I'm going to kill
You're
myself.
gonna tell me that you woke me up because you took a hot shower and the steam in Europe sets off the fire alarms?
It's steam.
I just rolled my eyes so hard I saw my brain.
Stop it.
My
You
God.
don't have to get your
What?
stuff out. You have to go back to bed because otherwise you will die. Because you need enough sleep.
I already
And
told
we
you
went.
GoPro. I burned on the boat. It's part of my story.
It's over.
Living on a boat. Living on a fucked up boat. Living on a boat.
So things just happen sometimes that you cannot control. And it's what you do with the experience that makes it better. The experience that made it better in this particular case was watching Marcel punch that fire alarm off of the wall and break it to pieces. Unfortunately, they no longer do shows on the boat after that particular night. Sorry, everybody. But we told you we were just there to raise a little bit of hell. But, you know, after all the difficult things and the exhausting moments, you get to the top and you get to look around and see this wonderful view and you meet all these wonderful people. I mean, depending on what your situation is, but in their situation, they're meeting all these wonderful people, seeing all these great sights. They got tattoos by my friend in Belgium at Tequila Tattoos. You know, they're just making the best of it. And they're playing at some fun spots. And I know they are getting treated like rock stars. So, you know, I'm so happy. When you love something and you're grateful for something, you share it. And that's what I'm trying to do there for these California Calendar girls. Taking a ferry to Finland from Sweden today. And we're going to go perform for some fucking Vikings. It's going to get weird.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm feeling like I need a big slap in the face every once in a while. But I'm good. It's weird because I think this is going to be our last time, so I'm kind of having some crazy anxiety. And every day I'm ready to be done, and every day I'm ready to start all over again too with it. So I really don't know how to. Sorry for the wind in that clip, but I swear to God, I'm feeling that same emotion that I just said in that video when I was standing on the shore of Sweden, getting ready to board a fucking cruise ship to my next show. I'm ready to so be done. And I'm so ready to start all over again from the very beginning. And it's just for little moments that stoke you out so hard that you can't believe it's actually happening. And for small town girls like me and Miss Polyurethane, hey, that kind of comes a little bit easy.
Okay.
Something
big
just happened. Tell them, Polly.
Oh my God. Okay, so we did our show and it was great, and we got a new husband and that was awesome, and he did
And
really
we called
good.
him on stage and it was great. He married us on stage.
Okay, so we got married on stage, and then he
just came to talk to us.
He just came to talk
After
to
the
us.
show, and
Yeah.
was like, oh, I love your show. And we looked down at his t-shirt. He's wearing a Country Kids t-shirt.
Country Kids t-shirt, the one he got. The one that he got last year.
He came to our show.
He came to our show.
In Europe.
In
wearing our t-shirt. Girl boss moment. Girl boss moments, indeed. I'm proud of my little babies out there in Europe. Here, next up, from the brand new album, 2 in a row from the goddamn Gallows, this is The Trial and Dreadful Sinner. Thanks for listening today, everybody. I hope you find your mountain and I hope you climb it.
Burn this motherfucker to the ground. Burn this motherfucker Mercy, wrap your arms around me. Jesus, why did you not blind me? What does it take to become a righteous man? Like an oyster with a pearl inside it. Evil's here and I cannot hide it. Wickedness is painless, but its blade is strong and true. Mercy, wrap your arms around me. Jesus, why did you not blind me? What does it take to become a righteous man? Like an oyster with a pearl inside it. Evil's here and I cannot hide it. Wickedness is painless, but its blade is strong and true. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. That's what we do, gonna hold them down. That's what we do with the dreadful. Listen up, y'all, cause we're making no round.
Oh my god. I actually
Wouldn't be the first time.
I'm with you.
Check that beer. Check that beer. It's got yes on it.
What is that, juice?
Yeah, there's juice in this beer.
Just another day.
We're doing this.
I don't want to go. I hate this score. I don't like this game. Let's play another one.
Once upon a time, I just did the beer, but now I'm only falling apart.
Poor fucking fish guts had to deal with us. I just figured out how to make a GIF. Or, is that how you say it? And, oh man, I got him doing something really lewd, and I'm going to make a really good one. Coming at you, fishy. You better watch out. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Come back next week. Rate, review, subscribe, do all those things to our podcast. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube, Country Kittens with a K. On YouTube, it's Country Kittens Experience. Go find Miss Polyurethane if you're out in Europe at a Bob Wayne show. And go find the California Calendar Girls. It is Wednesday. That means they are in Groningen tonight, Strasbourg tomorrow, Zurich Saturday, Meppel Sunday, Lokeren in Belgium Monday, and then they're out. Go see them and bring them a present. And remember, motherfuckers, you dirt bags and you dirt bagettes, do not squat with your spurs on.
I didn't want to get off the boat. I want to stay on the boat forever. I almost hit on the boat. But Annie was the voice of reason and told me I had to get off the boat.
Yeah, right. I was
now-
like, let's hide from Kurt on this boat. And Sam was like, no, guys, no.